Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Classic DM. You know, I want to spend some time as a player and as a 30-year AAA game industry veteran talking about the Path of Exile launch that happened this weekend. Dude, I already invited you to my party once, you dumbass. It's like, what the okay. So there's a lot of positives and there's a few negatives. One of the big things I want to notice right off the bat was that we had this massive lag spike problem happening, right? Where is this thing at? Here it is. Here, 8 Chaos Orbs. So I want to talk about that briefly. I also want to talk about. Looks like a Japanese player. I also want to talk about what Grinding Gear Games has said was the problem at their end, which I don't know if it's really true or not. But hey, I'll just take their word for it. But I thought it was very odd. Accept the trade request, dude. And then these people, he's probably totally lagged. All right, cool. So let's first of all, let me turn the music down a little bit. I love this song. It's so awesome. But I do want to give, meaningful feedback, assuming that the guys on the team even ever watch this video. They probably won't. Let's turn the music down a little bit. All right, so upon the launch of the game, there was a queue, 85. We streamed the stuff, right? It was 85,000 people in queue. Hey, that's a good thing, right? That means that people are excited about it. The week leading up to the league release, the YouTube active community of builders that like to build builds and talk about starter builds and league starters and all, they were just going apeshit crazy. You gave them a reason to make content again. They absolutely loved it. Hey, that's good, right? Because people have been playing Path of Exile 2 since December, and it had some problems. You've had some issues. So, some people have been giving Jonathan a hard time, and all kinds of things have been going on, right? And it hasn't been flawless, but these guys are now in a situation which is very tricky, where you're trying to support two games at once. Kind of like trying to support Killing Floor 1 and Killing Floor 2 at the same time when I was a Tripwire, or Red Orchestra 2 and Rising Storm. And you can split your community base, the EverQuest 1, EverQuest 2, right? These are examples of games where, the EverQuest 1 players play the old game and the EverQuest 2 players don't play the new game, etc. Unfortunately, we never had an Ultimate Online 2. So what am I driving at here? What I'm driving at is that the time, the energy, the effort, the ideas, as always, are cool, really great. The execution, the quality of life changes, being able to pause while you're at the escape menu, adding King's March back in. Hey, this is all really great stuff. The new stuff, the only thing that my wife and I have experienced, we're just in the early stages of mapping, like the first half of the Atlas, we're like level 80 or whatever. We haven't seen any of the memory rose petal stuff. So we can't comment on that at all. We don't know when that's going to happen. We're just not like doing some Maven invitations and just the early days of mapping for us, because we didn't play hardly at all. We just supposed to be trying to get geared up after we got our characters to max level. Okay, so what can we comment on? There's two major things we can comment on. We can comment on mercenaries, and we can comment on the server instance lag problem. Let's do the server lag problem thing first, because I was conjecturing all weekend. This plagued the gameplay from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and I don't know if it's going to happen today or not either. There is a post on their website that basically says that, hey, starting with the elephant in the room, unfortunately primarily our European servers, but also servers across the globe, have been facing a barrage of DDoS attacks. DDoS attacks is when someone uses a bunch of bots to ping or overload or send packets to servers to make it where the servers can't handle the load and then they crash. A lot of games have been victim of DDoS attacks. We understand this is will ruin such an anticipated launch for many players. That's true. I think a lot of the Steam community were hating it. This is unacceptable service and we are deeply sorry. Well, okay, that's great, but how come you didn't say anything all weekend? I mean, that's really the elephant in the room. I mean, it's a modern world of social media. Communication is key. I mean, look at it this way, okay? Standing Stone Games, who ended up buying Lord of the Rings from Warner Brothers, who originally had done it with Turbine. I mean, when something goes wrong with Lord of the Rings Online, they have a very small community, they say something. When something's going wrong with EVE Online, the guys out of Reykjavik, they say something. The big teams, the big companies like Bethesda, when you're working on Elder Scrolls Online and there's a problem, they say something. You have community managers that are on the forums. You have people that send out tweets. You have people that do Instagram videos. There's lots of different channels. You go to Discord. You could go all over the place, getting the word out. lets people understand how to time their gameplay. But when it's the DDoS, if you have a network engineer who's over there saying, hey, I think we're getting hit with DDoS attacks, it's like, oh, really? Is it all the servers or just some of the servers? Because there's multiple servers that you can connect to. Now, unlike World of Warcraft, where there's not Scarlet Crusade, and it's not the old days where someone just has one server with X number of players on it and it gets full, right? It doesn't allow you to create new characters on it. It's a situation where servers are being load balanced, like AWS, which we did a lot with Dungeon Defenders 2 and some other games. So what am I driving at here? The network issues did not feel like a DDoS attack, but that doesn't mean that they're not, because I'm a game design director, studio lead kind of a guy. I'm not a network engineer. But I will say this. It didn't feel like latency. Latency is when there's an internet packet hop problem between you and the server. It didn't feel like code, because it could happen to me in my map, but my wife could be playing in the other map doing something much more intense, fighting a mercenary, when I'm just standing around in my hideout doing nothing, and I can have the lag to it. So it didn't feel like a code problem. It could be. It could be a code problem where everyone on that server shard is encountering a repeating memory leak type of an error message, and it does then overload the server. But that would be something you would know about and you'd be able to fix. You may be not willing to tell anyone about that. That's okay. Keep it secret from your user base, because you'll fix it. But if that was a problem, you probably would have fixed it over the weekend, because you'd be able to identify what the problem was, and you did a couple patches over the weekend. So the DDoS thing sounds legit, and it probably is. I'm going to have to take it at face value. But let me show you what it looks like, because I got a copy here. This is our mapping stream from yesterday, right? This happens all the time. And we're like, this is like the Defile Cathedral. It's not that big of a deal. We've run around the whole map. We're trying to find something that we can't find on the map. So we separated, and my wife's running around one end of the map with her high run speed. I'm at the other end of the map, and we're looking around and we're chatting briefly about, like, hey, I can't find where this is in the map. What's the deal with it? So let's just turn the background sounds off so you can actually hear what we're saying in the stream here. I want you to see this, because this is exactly what we're talking about, right? So I'm looking at the map trying to figure out what part of the map we haven't explored yet, because we're trying to find the boss arena. Oh yeah, I'm getting the network lag now. So in the upper right-hand corner, you can see this network pinging. This is usually 32 milliseconds. This is CPU time. This is graphics card time, memory, and video RAM. This is the drive, shaders, and the server. Nothing to do with our internet. It's all server side. This is all server side problem. This is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. 13,000. It's pinging all the way down, back all the way up again. 1,000 milliseconds is 1 second. Well, that one's 27. 29, 35. Happens to you she just got disconnected. We're in the same area. We're on the same internet connection in the same house. I'm still in the game. Now notice how my zombies aren't like moving. Everything's like pausing. I don't think it's a weekend anymore now, do you? Like, this doesn't feel like there's too many people playing the game. Isn't New Zealand a day ahead of us, like in China? And so this is probably Monday, happening Monday in the afternoon. Still doing it. Probably Monday morning in New Zealand, like maybe like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. It's 6:30. You can look at the clock in the lower left-hand corner. It's 6:24 in the afternoon for us on the East Coast, which is, I believe, Tuesday in Auckland, New Zealand. Oh gosh. I haven't said anything about this problem. 4 o'clock in the afternoon in America was like 8 o'clock. It's still doing it in New Zealand. And it just keeps going up and down, up and down. So you can't play. What's very odd about it is that in a lot of other games that have client-side prediction and stuff, that when there is a network lag, you're running around and you're doing all this stuff, and then suddenly you're disconnected. You don't know why. And you're pressing buttons and doing moves, but it's very odd in Path of Exile. What happens is everything freezes. So these something about the lockstep networking. Developer people who are watching this. This is the CPU in 5 milliseconds, memory, video, RAM. This is the drive, not even being touched, no shaders. This is the network. This is the server. So out. This should be about 20 milliseconds. It's just going to 20. It's a 30, 45, 50, 56. Once it's hit 60, 1 minute. So when it hit the 1 minute mark, unexpected disconnection occurred. So then we had the situation where she logs in, I can't log in, and this happened all weekend. It doesn't make any sense why it happens. It has nothing to do with the area you're in or anything. That's one point I want to make. It's kind of funny. It's like, let's just pause the video. I'll let the video play in the background. I'll just mute it. And it looks blurry because I'm on a 4K monitor, and this is streamed at 1080p, so it's like 1/4 the actual size. So what's so weird about it is that, and we'll go back to this, the game. What's so weird about it is that if we were all in the same map, like we just were, and we were being lagged out, she's currently in her tavern hideout, and I'm in the Sarin encampment for whatever reason. For whatever reason, when it kicked me out of the game, it put me back to the Sarin encampment. So the network issue is still happening to me, right? You can see the little green bar going apeshit crazy there. Nothing's happening to her. So there's this weird element of what we're still in a party, we're in separate instances. Notice how her name is grayed out. That means she's not in the same instance as me. So this is really, really bummer. And I'm really sad to hear that currently they're saying that this is a DDoS attack. If it is a DDoS attack that targeted you, someone maliciously is going after you, okay? So if you wanted to do a DDoS attack against Blizzard or the League of Legends Riot Game servers during a tournament, you could do that. Anyone can have these DDoS attacks happen to them. The thing that was really weird about it to me was the DDoS attacks are happening to different servers at different times. There were situations where my wife and I were playing, she's mapping by herself, and I was still trying to get caught up leveling because I was behind a lot her. She's way better, faster player than me. And I'm not having the problem, and then she is having the problem, okay? So, but we're both connected to the Washington, D.C. East Coast server. We're both using the same, internet connection. We're in the same household. It's the same number of packet hops, the same number of hops from here to AT&T Prime Fiber line, whatever it is, right? So why is she lagged out with a DDoS on the server? Okay, so let's say in Washington, D.C., there is a streaming service that you're using from IBM or Unity or whoever you use. I know you're not using AWS. That's what I understand from the internet. I don't know if it's true or not. When you have a Washington, D.C. server, the idea is that this region has a number of servers that can help with load balancing back and forth. And if a DDoS attack is happening, it's targeting that server location so that different shards of the different machines are being overloaded. How can it possibly figure out that only some of them are being DDoS attacked and some of them are not? Because once they've spun up, if they spun off onto different servers, like she's in one little shard and I'm in another little shard, then that would be the only way I could figure out how that could work. Okay, so I don't want to beat the dead horse into the ground too much, but I think the key learning thing here that would be great is deeply sorry after the fact is wonderful and everything, but if you were the subject of DDoS attacks, you didn't say anything about it all weekend. For what reason? Okay, well, if we say something all weekend, then the people doing the DDoS attacks feel like, hey, it's working, keep doing it, right? If you don't say anything, you got to go in the game and play and read forums and watch streamers and say, hey, is it affecting them? Like, why would you waste your time doing it in the first place? It's kind of stupid. We want to assure you that we're taking this very seriously, and it is the highest priority problem for our company to solve. Yes, I agree. It should be a high priority for the company to solve. Due to the nature of the attacks, we're unable to provide a time frame will be resolved. We do want to acknowledge we do the issue and doing everything we can to mitigate this. So that was the big parade rainer, no pun intended, for this past weekend about the whole launch. It was these server spikes were happening. They were almost completely unexplainable to me based on what I know about how servers run. I was very, very, very confused as to how two people in the same shard, one person can have a DDoS attack and then get disconnected and the other person does not. But they're in the same map together. Very, 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 very odd. Very difficult to understand how they're going to fix that. I think the thing that's kind of disappointing is just the communication. There was no one communicated, no one said anything. And and here's why that's a problem. Okay, and this is now speaking to my YouTube community, not speaking to GGG. GGG is going to have to figure out how to deal with this. I don't know what they're going to do. Find out where the DDoS attacks came from and just ban those IP addresses, So when you run a free-to-play game, the only way you make any money at all is people buying currency so they can buy, so they can buy stuff. So they can buy points in your place. Go to your website and spend money, buy 200 points, or support a supporter pack. And everything that these guys make is absolutely awesome. Like, especially the armor sets, The armor sets and the particles and the weapons and stuff, they're beautiful, awesome. The animations are great. wonderful. They just get more and more. This is how they make money. It's a free game. This is a Path of Exile 2. We don't talk about that. Do that some other time. So the problem is that if you are relying upon free-to-play microtransactions to support you, you aren't having someone buy something every day, right? You're having impulsive purchases for the players that decide, hey, this game is deep and robust. It's got a massive wiki. It's got a good following. It's got a great YouTube community. It looks really cool. I really like it. It's pretty fun to play. It's kind of hard. Wow, look at all this confusing talent tree. So for the new player that comes in, usually you might get $25, maybe $50 a year out of them. Now, the player that becomes a hobbyist player, when you release different sets like mystery boxes and Kirok's Vault, Mercenaries, and Tarthus, you hope that they will go back. And there's a conversion rate for players that like to have everything, that buy everything. And then some people are like picky, like, hey, I want to get a new armor set, and I'm not really sure which armor set I want to do. Let me look through all the armor sets, and they say, hey, I really like this Eldritch armor set here. Here's a great preview video of what it looks like. And someone goes, yeah, I think I'm going to buy that. I need to have, how much money do you need to actually have that? Let's go back to here. Oh, it's 200 points for this. Let's go back to the game. Say you wanted to buy this, it costs 460 points. So you got to spend, that's how free-to-play games work. You work it out in your mind. You buy a bunch of points, use the points to buy the stuff. And then you look for stuff that's on sale. That's basically how everyone that does free-to-play games lives and dies. They live and die by things that are on sale, etc. Okay. When you have you bust your ass and you have all these developers and team members make all this cool, interesting, creative, smart, ready to execute content to add to the game, enough to give it a thematic idea and call it a league, anticipate it, hype it, talk to the community about it, do a preview, build up all this excitement. That's absolutely awesome. It's exactly what the hobbyist player wants. They want that, right? They love it. They're a fan. They're the best marketing company you'd ever have because we know you don't advertise. When they do all that, they are spreading the word to lots of other people who play on Steam. Okay? Most of the absolute gamer addict people that are, playing everything are playing just action RPGs like Last Epoch or Diablo 4 and 3, etc., or Warframe. There's a certain type of player that likes these kind of games, right? The Baldur's Gate 3 girl community is not playing Path of Exile. There may be some EVE Online players that play it, unlikely though, right? There's certain types of players that like this kind of RPG progression-oriented game where powerful builds and gearing makes a difference. All right, so if that's how it works, when the organic marketing machine kicks into high gear with Zizarin and Fubgun and Droneray and all these awesome, YouTube dudes who make content for you for 10, 15 years that have like 7,000 videos on their channel, and they stream. Even the guys who kind of, street hooker their stuff and stream Diablo one day and then Last Epoch the next and then Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2, they're just making money on the genre. They're not really dedicated to one game. So they're kind of like in a different category from the hardcore just Path of Exile fan. Like the hardcore Path of Exile fan that really shares knowledge and loves the game, they're the ones that really, really want to support your game. So when you have someone go, hey, this looks really awesome. I want to play this. This sounds really cool. You want them to be excited about stuff, right? You don't want there to be any problems. So having a DDoS attack when you're having all these players play the game is one of the worst things that could ever possibly happen. So that's where things like the DDoS attack and communicating to the community what's going on can be really, really helpful, because if you don't communicate, they don't know what's going on, and they're going to go to Steam and put these terrible reviews, or they're going to stop streaming because it's too risky. Because here's one of the things about the game that's really tricky is, right, as you get into higher and higher levels in the game, after you get past Act 10, there's an experience penalty of 10% when you die. Now, there's a couple of things you can do to get around it, but the death penalty is bad. And when you're playing maps and there's tons and tons and tons of shit happening on the screen, and if you've got a build that's not quite to maturity, dying 5 times in a row is going to be half your level. I mean, you might lose 8 hours of gameplay. And as you get higher and higher level, get closer and closer to 100, you're not playing in a big group. Even though you get a bonus for the mercenary now, you'd be like, oh gosh, it's too risky to do this. Or if you're going to try to do some of the very advanced bossing in Path of Exile 1 that requires certain types of currencies in order to even do it, you're not going to waste that currency and take a chance on it until the server stuff calms down. So it's really, really sad that I'm going to take it at face value, that the DDoS stuff happened when you launched this. Can't think of why anyone would want you to fail other than Blizzard, right? They're probably just butthurt because you say D4 bad one time on one of your streams. I can't think of any reason in the world that anyone who's a fanboy of Blizzard would deal with a bot farm and pay them money to come slam your game intermittently over the weekend. Like, if they really wanted to slam your game and ruin your launch, they would have just destroyed you the first 8 hours. And everyone just said, this is the worst launch ever. They wouldn't go in there intermittently and bang on you and bang on you and bang on certain shards of one Washington, D.C. instance and then not bang on the other one. It just seems really weird. Like a proper DDoS attack shuts your shit down all the way so you can't function for like 12 hours. And then when they're done, they're like, haha, and they move on to the next thing. And DDoS attacks aren't done by people for fun and giggles. Someone's paid them to do this, okay? All right, so let's now talk about the cool stuff. The cool stuff that's happening in the game now is the mercenaries. It does have some tweaking problems in my personal opinion. There are some elements to it that are kind of weird. Yeah. I'll just talk about that super briefly. So as you run around the game world, you encounter different type of mercenaries, and they'll have a decorative camp, et cetera, et cetera. We can try to find one now, but it would probably take too long. When you find one, you get the option of hiring them or exiling them. I could try scroll through the stream and see if I can find one of those things for you. Let's get rid of this. We don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need to read their announcement anymore. Let's go back to this. I'll scrub in the background through this stream and see if I can find when we were fighting if we were fighting a mercenary anywhere. And remember, the resolution of this would be really bad. So when you find one and you mouse over their gear and stuff, you're like, hey, look, they have this gear. Let's take a piece of gear. Now, the thing about it I found to be exciting, especially when you're first getting your currencies going, is that, do they have chaos orbs or currencies or even oranges that you can sell, which is unique gear? So in those situations, that's really exciting. Like, oh, I'm going to try to fight this, mercenary and take this piece of gear. And if you kill them, you get the piece of gear. It's great. Or you hire them. Like, my wife has hired the archer guy. See the green arrows coming down on hers? That's her mercenary. I don't have one at this point, bombing the crap out of everything on screen while we're having this nasty fight going on. A bunch of junk going on from one of these little events. The thing about the mercenaries that's kind of weird is that when you're actually looking at their gear, they're all like wearing a bunch of junk with no jewels in it, and there's like jewels at the bottom. And it's kind of like, that's not the same system I'm playing under. I have synced gear together. How come they're not having the same thing? That's kind of weird. And then you look at their abilities, you can see, okay, this guy's doing like poison arrow or stuff like that, and you're like, okay, that's pretty nasty. How do we deal with this guy? Let's anticipate what's going to happen when we fight this dude. So it's a really neat system, but there's a couple of them that are just like one-shot the crap out of players. For example, I've said this before, my wife is super duper hardcore, like Path of Building. She watches all the builds. She puts personal twists on her stuff. She's like a scientist, and she's amazing. Great Twitch player, younger than me, awesome, smart, knows everything about the game, laughs at me at how super hyper casual I am about the game, which is cool, right? She'll have like max resist, max chaos resist, tons of evasion, tons of armor. We're in a map where the monsters are 10 levels lower than us or 8 levels lower than us. There'll be a mercenary. We fight the mercenary, and the mercenary is warping around and yelling and making a bunch of noise. And then the mercenary is one-shots her. And she's moving at like 75% movement speed, moving around and throwing explosive bombs and concoction like this, right? I mean, we're buffing each other with all our buffs and stuff and killing bosses, no problem. This is her over here on the left, just bam, 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 paper champ, just destroying stuff. Awesome damage output. But when we get to one of these mercenaries, it's like, what happened? Some of them, we just completely destroy the hell out of them. And there's one or two of them, like a little rogue guy that's all, poison or whatever he's using. He's like warping around and just one-shotting. So that's kind of weird. But, Path of Exile 1 has always had this, like, what the hell happened to me? Like, they don't have a combat log. They don't have a way for you to tell what happened to you afterwards. Most MMOs and other games tell you what happened to you. I don't know why they don't ever do that. They decided to never do that. Maybe they didn't want people to solve the math truly behind what's actually happening in the game. Maybe they want to have mechanics in the game that are unfair, that are like, hey, this ability does 80 million damage no matter what. If it touches you, we don't want you to see the number 80 million damage. We're just going to hide it from you and let you just realize that you died, but there's so many particles on screen that you have no idea of knowing what happened to you. So that someone wants to block more spell damage, right? So that part's kind of weird. It feels kind of like, why is one mercenary a chump and another one is just a one-hit wonder and just boom, you're dead? And it's like, what the hell was that? I wish I could find some footage of that shit. I can't find it real quickly here. I'm just trying to scrub in the background while I'm chatting. But the mercenary system is neat. We really like it. I think it's fantastic. I just think it needs to be tuned. It doesn't need to be made easy. It just needs to be tuned. So you can't have these guys like having a deathmatch kind of a fight where they're doing abilities that would kill you in one hit isn't fun. One of the funnest things you have in a lot of other games is where you get tapped on the shoulder and you're like, okay, I'm being damaged here, and if I don't warp away, take a potion, or use my emergency get out of jail free card, I'm gonna die. I got to be paying attention to my health while I'm paying attention to everything that's on screen, because that's what you're doing the rest of the time when you're playing. Like, you're figuring out, where can I stand, what can I do, what's important for me to do at this very second, should I let these guys collapse me before I collapse vulnerability? Like, even here, I'm taking some damage, my Aegis is down, let it rebuild for a second. Like, there's all these little mental games. Got popped for half my health, get that back up with a potion. So, you're functioning as a team, thinking about how to defeat the enemies, and when you make a mistake, you get kind of tapped for it and before you get killed. But when you get instantly one-shot by one of these mercenaries, it makes you wonder how that when you hire him, he's not instantly one-shotting things too. It's kind of weird. It feels really, really weird. Anyway, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how much denial of service we end up having this week. Is DDoS going to be the new way to play for the next week? The fact that it happened from Friday and Saturday and Sunday and then all day Monday is very suspect. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 4 days in a row of someone doing intermittent DDoS attacks to ruin the gameplay for your launch of, Secrets of the Atlas, which you're just calling Mercenaries League. Anyway, I want to leave it at that. We'll just cut away from this stuff here, but I did want to talk about this. I thought it was kind of odd. And, we'll talk to you again real soon.